Welcome back. Slowing the spread of coronavirus, sparking privacy concerns. Technology giants Apple and Google launching a series of updates to their smartphone operating systems that will use Bluetooth signals to track potential coronavirus cases. But that has many asking about overreach. Joining us right now is cybersecurity and privacy expert and adjunct law professor Leeza Garber. Leeza, it's great to have you this morning. Thanks very much for joining us. And the Journal wrote about this yesterday in the op-ed section, saying that governments are imposing new digital surveillance tools to track and monitor individuals. You know, we welcome the opportunity to understand who has COVID-19 around us, but it's also surveilling our whereabouts, Leeza, and that's what they do in China.
Exactly right, Maria. So we've seen this erosion of privacy take place in China, in Asia, and now we've also seen it in Europe in the past month and a half. And now the U.S. is following suit. Obviously, this is an emergency situation. We need to respond accordingly, but we also need to understand as citizens and consumers of the technology in place what it actually means for our privacy moving forward during the pandemic and after as well.
Yeah, and I want to bring Siraj in on this because, Siraj, many of the governments throughout Asia did not seek any permission from individuals before tracking their whereabouts and their cell phones to identify who were the COVID-19 sickened people.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that obviously that separates America from all these other countries is our American values and privacy and personal freedom. Leeza, do you happen to think that we can probably get back on track without having to worry about government tracking?
Well, to get back on track, I think it's a necessity to understand and track to contain the virus. But there are different ways to do it besides putting that in, baking it into technology that we as Americans use every day. When you talk about giants like Apple and Google having access to this data, that starts to border on the commercialization of it, which is what's concerning many privacy advocates.
I mean, also concerning is this ever going to get unwound, right? I mean, we will get out of the COVID-19 pandemic at some point. We will get a vaccine at some point. But how likely are these governments to unwind the idea that they can just know where you are and track you?
Well, that's the real issue, Maria. And the federal government is now relying on these technology giants, including Apple and Google, but also the telecom giants as well. And these are certainly rights that are being infringed upon. When you look back to the 9/11 crisis, you look at the Patriot Act, right, which didn't have as many sunset provisions as many privacy advocates would hope. Right now, we're relying on Google and Apple to phase out this technology after the pandemic, but there's nothing in black and white yet saying when that will happen. So once you download those updates to your Android and iOS updates, it's really a question of when that will ever go away, and most likely it will not. So the privacy mechanisms will be depleted by the time the pandemic is over.
Wow. Very important to understand where we are going with all of this. Leeza, thank you. Leeza Garber joining us there on privacy concerns, which we will continue to stay on this subject.